Darkness swallowed Golgotha midday, as though creation itself refrained from watching. The crowd could not see, but the heavens did, for two archangels descended through storm and shadow, Michael and Uriel. The cross, their presence was unseen to human eyes, yet dreaded by Lucifer himself. Matthew 27-45. Michael carried a sword blazing with righteous fire. Uriel glowed with radiant purpose. They were not mere messengers, they were guardians of the turning point of history, in every tradition that speaks of what Michael and Uriel did at the cross. Their task is to defend the sacred threshold. Lucifer lurked in shadow, prideful and enraged. Believing the cross would be his victory, he whispered in the abyss, "The sun bleeds, and heaven is silent." Uriel answered by igniting a barrier light around the cross that even the accuser feared. At the moment Christ cried, "It is finished," the earth quaked, rocks split, and the veil tore. Michael advanced, his sword raised over the Lamb, his steps a challenge to the Prince of Darkness. Lucifer quaked in that instant. Darkness sensed the triumph woven into suffering. Matthew 27-51, John 19:30. Michael's voice thundered, "You are defeated." Uriel's light flared outward, scorching illusions Lucifer had nurtured since Eden. The cross, once a symbol of shame, became the throne of cosmic judgment. Lucifer shrieked at the sight of angels guarding the Savior's body. He had counted on abandonment. Instead, he found sentinels. Michael's sword cut through shadow. Uriel sealed the tomb in burning radiance. As darkness recoiled, the spiritual war flared behind the scenes. Legions of fallen angels surged, seeking to disrupt the plan. But Michael rallied hosts of light. Uriel dispelled deception with truth's flame. In that battle, the angels who terrified Lucifer stood unshakable. What they did at the cross was more than protection, they reshaped the cosmic order. The cross, invisible yet potent, struck at the rule of evil itself. In the hours of vigil after Christ's death, Michael and Uriel waited at the tomb. The silence around the body of Jesus was thick with anticipation. Uriel drew sanctified symbols of light upon the stone. Michael stood sentinel with burning resolve. Lucifer sent phantoms of despair, visions of God absent, faith extinguished. Michael held firm. Uriel's glow pushed back the whispers. Even in silence, the war raged for the souls of watchers. Time crawled as the Sabbath deepened, creation in suspense. Michael watched over the sealed grave. Uriel upheld the promise of resurrection. They guarded that even the darkness could not corrupt what was consecrated. At dawn's first tremor, resurrection broke the stillness. The stone rolled by unseen power. Christ rose, radiant in glory. Michael descended like a storm. Uriel's illumination crowned the victory. Guards fell backward as glory surged. The earth bowed in response. Michael advanced with unchallenged authority. Lucifer reeled at what he thought would be defeat. Uriel's voice declared, "The cross has conquered." The final war erupted across heaven and the abyss. Michael fought not with fury but with the authority of the risen king. Uriel stood as revelation, exposing every lie Lucifer had ever spoken. In that battle, every false throne shattered, every deception peeled away. Michael's blade became the final judgment. Uriel's flame revealed truth's dominion. Lucifer collapsed under the weight of the cross. Its power turned against him. The cross reappeared, suspended between realms, burning eternally. Every drop of Christ's blood glowed like stars in that light. The Lamb reigned, and Lucifer's reign ended. In the aftermath, Michael and Uriel enforced the victory of the cross across creation. They moved through the underworld, stripping stolen authority from darkness. Chains of light bound Lucifer, limiting his influence eternally. Revelation 20:1-3. Michael proclaimed, "Your dominion is broken, your lies exposed." Uriel added, "Every story you twisted now ends with truth." Lucifer's crown fell. His throne crumbled into ash. The disciples trembled in fear and awe. Angels moved among them unseen. Michael whispered courage into broken hearts. Uriel breathed insight into grieving souls. The fledgling church found strength beyond its mortal capacity. Peter wept over his denial. Michael offered redemption's courage. Mary mourned. Uriel infused eternal hope in her sorrow. The cross's blood traveled across hearts, guarded and magnified by angelic love. The gospel spread through persecution, famine, and war. Michael's unseen shield protected missionaries in hostile lands. Uriel's light kindled faith where darkness ruled. Lucifer shifted tactics, twisting truth, sowing doubt, disguising darkness as light. Michael struck behind the scenes, preserving the faithful remnant. Uriel revealed deception, guiding prophets to speak against evil. During years of apostasy and reform, Michael stood watch. Uriel inspired revival when religion turned cold. The cross remained the dividing line between authentic faith and counterfeit devotion. The nations rose and fell. Empires built towers of pride. Lucifer hid behind technology, ideology, and reason without God. Uriel moved through hidden hearts, kindling longing for truth beyond self-sufficiency. Michael defended moral boundaries invisible to fleshly eyes. He stayed the swords of war, the rise of tyranny, and the collapse of morals. Uriel whispered to hearts craving justice, drawing them back to the cross. The final generation would see signs like those before: lawlessness, love grown cold, false messiahs. Lucifer prepared his last campaign. Michael and Uriel readied the hosts for the end. Matthew 20:10-13. At the end, Lucifer would rise in full power once more, claiming dominion in darkness, yet Michael would descend with fierceness. Uriel's light would pierce every disguise. Their final confrontation would echo the cross's first hour. Michael's sword would not only judge, but redeem, every stroke steeped in mercy. Uriel's flame would refine. Every trial burned away what is unholy. The cross's power would manifest again, perfect in victory. Lucifer would gather deceived hosts, proud, arrogant, defiant, but their lies would unravel under the Lamb's authority. Michael's voice would thunder. Uriel's light would blaze across every realm. Satan would attempt a final assault on the city of God. The New Jerusalem would hang between worlds, shining in peace. Michael and Uriel would stand guard at its gates. Revelation 21:2-3. Lucifer's name would vanish from memory, his legacy remembered in silence. Michael and Uriel would sing with every creature, worthy is the Lamb. Every angel would call him king. The final judgment would open a martyred, rebelled, redeemed all stand before the throne. Michael would wield the scales of justice. Uriel would open the book of life, revealing names written in fire. Revelation 20:12. Revelation 20-19. Darkness dissolved in the presence of the eternal light. Punishment and justice are entwined with mercy and healing. Lucifer's rebellion would be a whisper, swallowed in glory. The new heaven and new earth would unfold beyond mortal imagination. No tears, no death, every fallen thing made new. Michael would walk among the redeemed. Uriel would light every pathway. Revelation 21:4, 20:2-3-5. Time would yield to eternity, and the cross would stand forever as the throne of victory. Michael's sword would rest in peace. Uriel's flame would burn eternally, the light that darkness never could snuff. Earth and heaven would merge, the temple replaced by God dwelling among humanity. An angelic song would echo in every street. The cross, once an instrument of death, would eternally reign as a symbol of life. Lucifer, cast into the lake of fire, would remain in isolation, a living parable of rebellion's cost. Michael's victory would be remembered, not in fear, but in praise. Uriel's light would forever prove that truth triumphs. Saints from all ages would gather, each bearing witness to the cross. Their tears turned to praise, their struggles to testimony. Michael and Uriel would stand among them as protectors, witnesses, and heralds. The throne of God would shine, rivers of life flow, gates open eternally. No shadow could enter, no night could fall. The victories of the cross would echo through every age. Lucifer's counsel, his strategy, even his ambition would become warnings, fossils of ruin. Michael and Uriel, once hidden, would be exalted as part of the story of redemption. Humanity would know their names as witnesses of love's conquest. Kings and nations would walk in light, not fear. Judgment would be fair, mercy rich, obedience eternal. Michael's role as guardian would continue, now in peace. Uriel's flame would guide prophets, artists, teachers, hearts hungry for truth. The cross would remain the source of every spring of living water. Darkness would be memory, not possibility. Creation itself would heal mountains, seas, skies transformed. Michael would guard the harmony of all things. Uriel's light would pervade every corner of existence. The narrative of salvation would be told forever. Here is the cross, here is the light, Here is the victory. Michael and Uriel, central characters in that story, would be honored not as deities but as faithful guardians. Their mission, once hidden, is now revealed. Lucifer's terror, once instilled in heavenly rebellion, would become a legend of tragedy. The story of angels who terrified Lucifer would be told not in fear, but in awe of divine justice. Michael and Uriel at the cross would be remembered as defenders of redemption. The cross-shaped architecture of history would show how every epoch pivoted on that moment. Michael's sword and Uriel's flame became symbols of that shape of victory. Wherever the cross is remembered, their deeds echo. And so the narration concludes. What Angel Michael and Uriel did at the cross was more than protection, it was the establishment of a cosmic order rooted in love, authority, and resurrection. The angels who stood revealed the power hidden behind the cross. Michael guarded the threshold, Uriel revealed the light. Together they terrified Lucifer not through fear, but through justice and truth. Their names, once hidden in tradition, shine now in eternal memory. The cross stands between heaven and hell as frontier, as victory, as eternal reign. Michael and Uriel remain its witnesses, its guardians, its heralds. The victory achieved their echoes forever. And beyond every ending, glory to the Lamb. Forever reign the King. And Michael and Uriel, faithful angels, watch until he returns again. Revelation 20-20.